here at UMass to see an example of source separation best practices. Source separation is just like it sounds. It's a separation of material at the source, which will make it easier than trying to recover it later. For example, food scraps from a prep or dishwash area, instead of being put in the trash, can be put in a designated compost container. This is important because in Massachusetts there's a commercial food waste disposal ban. Businesses also may want to implement a food diversion program to use food for a higher and better use and to keep it out of their waste. This video could be useful for any business, school, or institution looking to implement or expand a food waste diversion program. To evaluate how much food waste you have, go to the RecyclingWorks website, click on the food waste drop-down, and use the Estimate Your Food Waste tool. Training typically doesn't happen just once. It should be started at orientation. Training would be ongoing. Managers should lead by example, and showing something like this video would be a great tool.
So I'm always looking in the compost bin. It's my office. I have to walk through the back kitchen. Yes, I'm always looking. But they train with a more senior person, and then I just check in on everything.
Our Director of Residential Dining and Sustainability hosts manager meetings at least once a semester where all the managers of each of the dining operations, managers of waste management, managers in the sustainability department all come together, report on what they're working on, report on challenges that they had, and come up with solutions. So that form of communication is really, really vital. Because you'll find in especially large-scale institutions, you can have this silo effect where everyone's doing their own thing and there's no collaboration or communication between them. So those regular meetups of putting them as part of the job responsibilities and duties are really, really important to break down those silos.
When you look at the fact that somebody who's able to do a job and you teach them how to do their job well, they become more engaged with things. You know what you're going to be doing. You have all the proper stuff in front of you, which is going to mitigate your waste. It's also going to mitigate your time.
I like to tell them to find something that fits in their station and doesn't take up a lot of room, and that makes sense. So a lot of times the square pan is the thing that makes sense. Since we only have one composting receptacle in the kitchen, that's the best and most efficient way of getting the product from the prep area into the compost bin. The scrap containers, obviously they get emptied, but then they get put through the dishwasher. They're dishwasher safe, and then they get our dishwashers go up over. They sanitize at 180 degrees, and it's just like it's safe for food contact after that.
If there are any contamination issues that need to be dealt with, we want to have that feedback as quick as possible.
The main offenders are like the gloves. The gloves sometimes get into the compost bins, and that's where I'm like, not the gloves, you know. Like so yes, I'm constantly looking in the compost bin. I have to walk by it a million times a day, so I'm always looking in the compost bin.
Common contaminants are food service gloves, bleach wipes, single-serving condiments, plastic wrap, and fruit stickers. To find out what can be included in your compost program, talk to your hauler, because they will know specifically what end site your material is going to and can let you know what can or cannot be included. You can use the hauler contact and guidance document on the RecyclingWorks website as a reference. Signage is important as a reference and a reminder of what materials go where. The best signs are simple, easy to understand at a glance, and location specific.
Waste management brings us clean carts and picks up our full carts. We bring our full toters out to the loading dock, and then our custodial staff brings up the empty ones and leaves them in the hallway, and then our staff can just replenish them throughout the day as needed. Labor is one of our largest costs here, so if I can eliminate somebody's walk down to the loading dock, I would like to do that, because if they make 6 trips down to the loading dock and each trip takes 15 minutes, that's time I'm never going to get back. So.
The food waste toters get brought in on a box truck. The waste management staff unloads them from the truck, puts them right on here. This hydraulically lifts the toter, empties it into this compactor. The toters then get cleaned and sprayed down if they need to over here. They get brought back to the loading dock where they receive a new green compostable liner, and the emptied ones get loaded back onto another truck to be redistributed to all the locations.
Having a way to keep your bins clean is really important to a successful program. Some use liners, some have a rinsing program.
If you can afford it, invest in the compostable bags because it saves a lot of mess, and I'm sure it keeps an organization cleaner.
It's kind of a toss-up. You got to evaluate whether the bags are more important for you in saving labor or and saving hot water, or you save the bag expense and wash those containers out regularly by hand.
Maintain open communication between all parties to ensure a successful source separation program.
I think anything that can boost your staff's morale and train them at the same time is really powerful. So one of the things that our manager of Hampshire Dining Commons does when her staff gets back together before the fall semester starts, she does 2 days of training with them, and she invites the sustainability team, like myself and others, to come in and talk about why sustainability is important to UMass Dining, what new initiatives we're working on, how they're a part of this team, so everyone's getting a sense of the bigger picture of what we're working on.
Collection crews are either apt to or should be telling us when they see a lot of contamination in there, and then we just call up the dining commons, talk to the chef, talk to the manager, whoever, pick up and go through that. Sometimes we'll go down and visit if it's a real issue. The materials we get from the dining facilities themselves are fairly clean. We get occasional pink wipies and neoprene gloves that they use, that the staff use there, and some forks and knives periodically. It's usually pretty good. Training, I guess, has gone on, and it continues to. People are informed about what they can and can't put in the waste stream.
Potential for cost savings when implementing a food waste diversion program, because typically the rates for food waste are less than the tip rates for trash. We're also seeing that implementing a program increases employee awareness, so recycling rates increase. People look for reduction techniques to have cost avoidance of buying the food in the first place, and also look for food donation opportunities for good, wholesome food that can be donated, which can also result in a tax deduction.
Well, anytime you do any sort of crafted work, it is going to add a dimension of labor to your bottom line. But, and this is the big but, you can also mitigate that by the cost savings you're going to utilize by not wasting food.
The past 3 years, we've reduced our waste to the financial amount of around $750,000.
To get started with source separation of food waste, talk to your hauler and contact RecyclingWorks in Massachusetts.